Matthew had a question around boundaries. Let's see. Sorry if I missed it, but I had a question on boundaries as I get errors saying that say Matthew's issue could be boundaries. I think I understand them, but can you show how to check that a client is in a boundary?
Yes. Let's see. All right. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Uh, so, in terms of boundaries, to go back to that topic, here is a somewhat large lab environment config manager. And if I scoot over to the boundaries, you can see I have a couple of them, but I have many more subnets. So many of these subnets are within a larger range. So this one here that is labeled 2PS lab, for example, actually 12 subnets, but it's only one range. So if you have an IP address that is within that range, it will belong to that boundary group. Now, you can also ask your client which boundary groups it's part of, and ideally you should only get one answer. So if I go to one of my clients here, like this little friend, and I will ask it, let's see where I have that code, perhaps here. Yeah, this WMI class in the client namespace for config manager will give you the boundary group that this particular machine is a member of. So this is the resource ID for that boundary group. And then you can scoot over to config manager and look it up, or you can scoot over to SQL and let's see, this one here will do just fine. And it will tell you based on that group ID which boundary group is it. You can have reports with this. You can look for overlapping boundaries. Trevor Jones has a great report for overlapping boundaries. PowerShell script that you run that generates an HTML report. But it's basically, is a client's IP within the range or not? You can run some PowerShell script for that as well. There are many options to look up if you want to do it automatically. But yeah, I mean, this is how config manager finds resources. If I go back to my, so we use these. So a boundary group is always going to be having one or more boundaries in it. So if in this case, since I'm using ranges, if there is a client that have an IP that happen to be within one of these ranges, that client is going to use these resources for things like management point, DP, state migration point, and software update point. So in this particular case, it's actually going a round robin in between these two, for example, when downloading content. So if you have 1,000 clients, you're going to have like 300-ish each DP. But this is how it finds content. And stuff like this has to be right. Otherwise, you have a miserable config manager experience.
Well, and I think that goes along with Matthew had a follow up question here. Can the client be in two boundary groups?
Yes, but then that's where you have overlapping boundaries, and that's when you're starting to run into issues. Yeah, the goal is to have only one.
Yep.
And I mean, I've seen organizations having like 10 distribution point and I have like 5,000 boundaries. I'm like, no, you probably need about 10. It's like, uh, it's about finding the smallest value of boundaries that you can build a range upon put that to the right boundary group, and then be done with it. Keeping things simple goes a long way.
Yeah, well said.
One company I worked with, we went from 5,087 boundaries down to like 14. Slightly easier to manage 14, but
A couple of other useful tips in here. Stuart mentioned adding the boundary column in the config manager console. Yep, quick way to see there. And Zach also mentioned location services.log on the client.
yeah. So I'm assuming they're referring to, I'm assuming devices.
Yep.
This one here. We'll give it that one also.
Yep.
Where did it go?
There.
Boundary groups, yeah. Such a surprise that my Chicago clients is in the Chicago boundary group.
Shocking.
Shocking, yeah. Yeah, right now I'm testing a new release of Cypher at the moment, so I have almost 200 machines running in my lab right now. It's pretty warm.
Ooh. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.